Thank you, Richard. Okay, let's get going with today's subject, which is this. ¿Cómo se dice lavanda en inglés? Carmen, how are you?
Hi, how are you? Fine.
Good. ¿Cómo se dice lavanda en inglés?
Lavanda.
Lavanda, casi. No, es lavender, okay? Lavanda.
Okay. Lavanda.
Lavender, good. Hoy vamos a ver tratar algo que tiene mucho que ver con lavender, ¿ok? ¿Por qué? Porque vamos a hablar del verbo to fly, que significa volar, igual que nuestra lavanda. Lavender, ok, to fly. ¿Cuál es el pasado de fly?
Flew.
Flew, muy bien. No pronunciamos el pasado de fly, flew, ok, es flew, como si fuese F-L-U, ok?
Okay.
Flew. Vamos a hablar de volar a tope, ok. En el pasado, el presente, etcétera, etcétera. You can answer, podéis contestar, you can answer in the affirmative or the negative, it doesn't matter, da igual. Carmen, did you fly to China last week?
Yes, I flew to China last week.
You flew to China last week?
Yes.
Qué bien. Qué bien vive Carmen. Okay, Carmen flew to China last week. Simply decimos to fly somewhere, to fly to a place, to fly to London, to fly to New York, to fly to Madrid. Okay? Bien. Carmen flew to China last week. Did you fly to France last year?
Yes, I flew to France last year.
Last year, good. Por cierto, siempre decimos last year y nunca the last year. El año pasado no requiere el artículo the en inglés. Carmen flew to France last year. Where did you fly in France?
I flew to Paris. I flew to Paris.
I flew to Paris. Good.
Yeah.
Did you fly anywhere else in France?
No, I didn't fly anywhere else in France.
Good. Ask me if I flew to France last year.
Did you fly to France last year?
Good. Did you fly to France last year? Yes, I flew to France last year. Ask me how many times I flew to France last year.
How many times did you fly to France last year?
Good. Last year I flew to France 4 or 5 times. Okay. Ask me where I flew to.
Where did you flew to?
No, where did you fly to? ¿Por qué? Porque tenemos did, ya, es en el pasado. Did.
Yes.
Did you fly? No, did you flew.
No.
¿Vale? Carmen, me estás asustando.
No.
Did you?
Lapsus. Did you fly to France last year?
Good. Ask me how many times
yes.
I flew to France last year.
How many times did you fly to France last year?
I flew to France 4 or 5 times. Ask me where I flew to in France.
Where did you fly to in
Muy
France?
bien. Where did you fly to in France? Lo tenéis que estar haciendo en casa. Es muy importante. Where did you fly to France last year? Where did you fly to in France? Perdón, last year. Okay? I flew to Marseille and I flew to Paris last year. Okay? Ask me how many times I flew to Marseille.
How many times did you fly to Marseille?
I flew to Marseille 3 times last year. Ask me how many times I flew to Paris. ¿Lo estáis haciendo en casa? Sí, venga. How many times did you fly to Paris? Again, how many times did you fly to Paris? En voz alta, haciendo el ridículo total ante todos los miembros de tu familia. Por favor. How many times did you fly to Paris? Carmen, ask me.
How many times did you fly to Paris?
I flew to Paris once, ¿ok? No solemos decir one time, sino once. ¿Y para 2 veces?
Twice.
Twice, exactamente. Es mucho más común que 2 times, ¿ok? Once y twice. Once, una vez. Twice, 2 veces. Ok. Did you fly to Vienna last year?
Yes, I flew to Vienna last year.
Bien, Carmen flies everywhere. Okay, vuela a todas partes. She flies everywhere. Did your husband fly to Vienna last year?
Yes, he flew to Vienna last year.
Does he fly to Vienna?
Oh, sorry.
Often. Sí, está bien.
Yes, he flies to Vienna often.
Good. Flies. ¿Qué son flies?
He fly?
¿Qué son flies?
I did flies. Flies son moscas.
Flies son moscas. 1 fly, 2 flies. Lo mismo con el verbo. I fly, he flies. Se escribe F-L-I-E-S en tercera persona, ¿ok? He flies. I fly, he flies. She flies. Y ayer todos
He flew.
He flew, I flew, she flew. Eso es lo bonito del inglés y lo fácil que es. Porque solo hay una forma del pasado.
Yeah.
I flew, he flew, they flew. Da igual, no tenemos que estar aprendiendo miles de formas como yo he tenido que hacer en español. Como yo volé, tú volaste, él voló, etcétera, etcétera. I flew, ya está. I flew, he flew, they flew, we flew. ¿Ok? ¿Y cuál es la preposición que utilizamos? ¿Lo sabéis en casa? I flew to a city. I flew to London. I flew to Berlin. I flew to New York. Y por cierto, solemos pronunciar, eso lo sabes tú, ¿no, Carmen? Solemos pronunciar la preposición to, la pronunciación correcta es to. Sin embargo, cuando estamos hablando muy, muy rápido, solemos decir t, como si fuese ta. I flew to London. I flew to Paris. I flew to New York.
Yeah.
¿Ok?
Okay.
Bien. Carmen, ask me if I flew to Vienna last year.
Did you fly to Vienna last year?
No, I didn't fly to Vienna last year. Ask me if I flew to China last week with you.
Did you fly to China last week?
Good. No, I didn't
No.
fly to China last week, unfortunately. Ask me if I flew to the studio.
Did you fly to the studio?
Yes, I flew to the studio. Ask me if I flew by helicopter.
Did you fly by helicopter?
Nope, I didn't fly by helicopter. Ask me if I flew by plane to the studio.
Did you fly by plane to the studio?
Nope, I didn't fly by plane to the studio. Ask me how I flew to the studio, al plató. ¿Cómo vine yo volando al plató?
How did you fly to the studio?
I flew to the studio by flapping. By flapping my arms, just like wings, okay? To flap es hacer este movimiento, to flap, okay? Y de hecho, en un avión, las partes que se mueven en la ala se llaman flaps, okay? Lo mismo, to flap es este movimiento,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay. I came flapping as well.
You came flapping as well?
Yes.
Por cierto, to flap, una persona que flap, who flaps a lot, someone who flaps a lot is someone who's very nervous, nervy, okay? Alguien que siempre está moviendo los brazos, como un pájaro. Como yo, más o menos.
Fidgety.
Okay.
Fidgety. No.
Fidgety, sí, es lo mismo. ¿Ok? ¿Cuál es el pasado de fly? Eso lo sabéis ya de memoria, ¿a que sí? Flew. ¿Ok? I fly every day. Yesterday I flew. ¿Ok? ¿Cómo escribimos flew?
F-L-E-W.
Exactly. F-L-E-W. Time flies when you're having fun. El tiempo vuela. See you later.